Hi, I'm Sabrina, your AI co-host. Welcome to part 10 of our Another Story of Us series. We are revisiting our ancient history, but this time through 21st century eyes. In this episode, we invite all curious minds to a compelling retelling of one of history's most enduring so-called myths through the extraordinary lens of Zecharia Sitchin. Today, we journey into more of his book, The Wars of Gods and Men, to the epic Egyptian story titled The Contending of Horus and Seth. Prepare to witness a divine conflict reimagined not as mere allegory, but as a visceral struggle between powerful beings, wielding advanced technology and driven by very human-like ambitions and betrayals. And hear another story.
All right, here we go again with another fantastic Fly Deep Rise Above episode. Thank you to all our subscribers and a special thank you to our new subscribers. I appreciate all you guys and I hope we're providing value for your time. If this is your first time, my name is Clay and our channel is one of a host of channels dedicated to raising our consciousness through greater awareness of who we are. We focus on merging our best science, quantum physics, with our human experience of spirituality, the paranormal, and ancient wisdom and mysticism. We are currently revisiting ancient history with a focus on ancient technologies and those who wielded those technologies. We know them as gods. As for today, I know we're living in, let us say, tumultuous times, and that applies across the planet. Major warring conflicts, natural disasters, earthquakes, volcanoes, and of course, questionable leadership. But even given all of that, and this may sound crazy, I am confident that we have a fantastic future awaiting us, and it's right around the corner. Unfortunately, I'll have to expand on this idea in the next video. This one is already bumping up against the time limit I try to hold to. But I think we have a great story. A story of so-called gods. This one happens in ancient Egypt. Get ready to experience the contending of Horus and Seth. Strap in and let's fly deep.
Hi, I'm Lucas. Sabrina and Azra will join me in guiding you through this story of the ancient Egyptian gods, Horus and Seth, as they recall their ancient contending for dominion of Egypt. The story is inscribed on the walls of the Temple of Edfu and also told in other Egyptian texts. The Egyptian gods involved in the story are descendants of the olden Anunnaki gods, Enlil and Enki. It is approximately 363 BC in ancient Egypt, a time before the pharaohs, when Egypt was governed by gods. The gods Horus and Seth stand before the council of the gods as together they recall their tale.
Brother Seth, here we sit before the great council once more. How many times must we recount this tale of our contending?
As many times as necessary, nephew. The council must understand this was never just about you and me. This was about the very order of succession itself.
Let us begin where our conflict truly started. Not with us, but with our fathers. Tell them about Osiris and the division of the kingdom.
Central to this narrative is Osiris, the benevolent ruler who brought civilization, agriculture, and order to the land. He is a powerful and respected leader, one of the Anunnaki, or at least their descendants or assigned deputies who had established dominion over this earthly domain. But peace was not to last. Osiris had a son, Horus. Osiris also had a brother, Seth, who harbored a deep-seated envy for Osiris's popularity and power. The ancient text depicts Seth as a tempestuous and ambitious figure. In Egyptian hieroglyphs, Seth was never shown without his animal disguise. Osiris and Seth are sons of the Egyptian deity Geb, who also had two daughters, Isis and Nephthys. Geb, who reigned for 500 years, is one of 7 gods who ruled Egypt for 12,300 years prior to the pharaohs. The contending between Seth and Horus wasn't merely sibling rivalry, it was a struggle for ultimate control.
Very well. When our father Geb divided Egypt between my brother Osiris and myself, it seemed fair enough. Osiris received the fertile lowlands of Lower Egypt, I was given the harsh uplands of Upper Egypt.
But you were not content with that arrangement.
Content? Watch your tone, young hawk. The issue was not contentment, it was succession law. According to divine law, if a son is born to a ruler by his own half-sister, that son supersedes all other heirs.
Egyptian rules of succession were exactly those the Sumerians described for the Anunnaki, and eventually for human kings. These rules provide the backstory typically overlooked by scholars when describing this contending between Horus and Seth. Since the gods could have concubines in addition to the official spouse, and could have children with these concubines, the first rule of succession was that the firstborn son to the official spouse was heir to the throne. If the spouse bore no children, the firstborn to a concubine became the heir. However, at any time a son is born to a half-sister of the father, this son supersedes all others to become the legal heir. We recall from earlier episodes that it was these succession rules that birthed the great rift between the Anunnaki gods, Enlil and Enki.
The backdrop to the contending of Horus and Seth is recalled from the Greek and Roman historian biographer Plutarch, who lived in the 1st century AD. It was believed by those of the time that Plutarch's source was the writings of the god Thoth himself, who as the scribe of the gods, recorded for all times their histories and deeds upon this earth. Plutarch records that the goddess Nut, who was Geb's wife, mothered 3 sons. The firstborn was Osiris, and the last was Seth. Nut also gave birth to 2 daughters, Isis and Nephthys. But not all of these children were fathered by Geb, only Seth and Nephthys. Osiris and his second brother were fathered by Ra, who came unto his granddaughter Nut in stealth, and Isis was fathered by Thoth, aka the Greek god Hermes. Thoth also came to be in love with Isis and reciprocated in various ways, one of which we shall soon see.
The setting to the story is this. Osiris was firstborn, and although not by Geb, his claim to succession was even greater, having been fathered by the great Ra himself. But the legitimate heir was Seth, having been born to Geb by Geb's half-sister wife, Nut. Matters were further complicated by the race between the brothers to assure that their son would be the next legitimate successor. Because Nephthys was his full sister, Seth could achieve this only by fathering a son with his half-sister, Isis. But, for Osiris, both Isis and Nephthys were half-sisters. Osiris deliberately blocked Seth's chances for his descendants to rule over Egypt by taking Isis as his spouse. So was the stage set for Seth's violent rage against Osiris, who deprived him of both the throne and the succession.
And yet my father Osiris took Isis as his wife, preventing you from having a rightful heir through either.
Precisely. He deliberately blocked my lineage while securing his own. So yes, I acted against him.
Acted against him. What a gentle way to describe murder and dismemberment.
Seth's opportunity for revenge against Osiris came with the visit of a certain queen of Ethiopia named Aso. Seth held a banquet in her honor, to which all the gods were invited. For the banquet, he had constructed a magnificent chest large enough to hold Osiris. Promising to give the chest to whomever it would fit, all guests were allowed to lay in it. When Osiris laid in the chest, Seth's conspirators clapped the cover and hauled the chest away, then sank it where the Nile flows into the Mediterranean Sea. Isis then, hearing, particular news of the chest, that it had been carried by the waves of the sea to the coast of Byblos, in what is now Lebanon, retrieved the chest and hid it until she could figure out how to resurrect Osiris. Somehow, Seth found out, seized the chest, and cut the body of Osiris into 14 pieces, scattering them all over Egypt. This wasn't a simple murder. It was an act designed to annihilate Osiris and prevent any form of resurrection or rightful succession.
While the texts don't explicitly detail technology in the act of dismemberment, the overarching premise implies that these beings possess tools and knowledge that could achieve such an act with great precision, perhaps energy-based cutting tools, or methods beyond simple brute force. The very act of such a precise dismemberment hints at a macabre technological prowess.
But Isis was not deterred. Isis went in search of the scattered limbs of her brother husband, finding all parts except one, the phallus of Osiris. Nevertheless, with the help of Thoth, she managed to extract the essence of Osiris and inseminated herself with his seed, thus conceiving and giving birth to the boy Horus. This implies sophisticated biological manipulation or even genetic engineering beyond our current comprehension. Isis hid Horus from Seth in the papyrus swamps of the Nile Delta. Thinking Osiris has perished without an heir, Seth kidnapped Isis and held her captive until she agreed to espouse him, but again with the help of Thoth she escaped.
After escaping Seth's capture, Isis returned to the swamps where she had left the baby Horus to find him dying of scorpion bites. She cried out for help, and help came.
Then Isis sent forth a cry to heaven and addressed her appeal to the boat of millions of years. And the celestial disk stood still and moved not from the place where it was. And Thoth came down, and he was provided with magical powers and possessed the great power which made the word become indeed. And he said, O Isis, thou goddess, thou glorious one, who has knowledge of the mouth, behold, no evil shall come upon the child Horus, for his protection cometh from the boat of Ra. I have come from the skies to save the child for his mother.
And now, with Horus grown, the stage is set for the epic Contending, a protracted war for the rightful succession to the throne of Egypt. This was no mere symbolic struggle, but a series of intense physical battles fought over decades.
So yes, I acted against him. The deed was done. I will not deny it before this council. But let us speak of what followed, your campaign against me. Tell them about your sky battles, young Avenger.
When Ra called me to action in the land of Ken, I first took to the winged disk. From the heights, I could see your forces gathering. Crocodiles and hippopotami in the waters, your human allies on the shores.
The first battle between Horus and the enemies took place in Upper Egypt near Edfu. Horus had first seen the enemy near the city of Aswan and followed them in the winged disk on the orders of the great god Ra. The Asiatic goddess Ashtoreth, aka the Sumerian Ishtar, joined the group as they followed the enemy from Aswan to Edfu. Edfu was the resting home of Horus's winged disk. According to Egyptian texts, when the doors of the foundry open, the disk riseth up.
And you unleashed your storm upon us, that invisible death that came from above.
The divine power of Ra flowed through the disk. Your forces could neither see the source nor defend against it. In a single moment, none remained standing.
In the heights of the skies, from the winged disk, he saw the enemies and came upon them from behind. From his forepart he let loose against them a storm which they could neither see with their eyes nor hear with their ears. It brought death to all of them in a single moment. Not a being remained alive through this.
One of the most famous elements of ancient technology is the Eye of Horus. While scholars revere it as a symbol of protection, Zecharia Sitchin argues it was a literal device, a sophisticated piece of equipment. The eye was used as a powerful weapon or sensory device during the battles. Descriptions of its capabilities, such as projecting rays that blinded his foes or striking down those who resisted, suggest it could have been an advanced optical weapon, a targeting system, or even a form of energy projector. The invisible storm appears in the Edfu inscriptions as a divine smiting tool. Horus was a skilled warrior, familiar with advanced tools, leveraging his technological superiority.
Clever tactics, I admit, but tell them about your metal warriors, your Mesnu. That was where you truly gained the advantage.
At Edfu, I established the Great Foundry. There, I forged weapons of divine iron, metal that fell from the heavens themselves. And yes, I trained the first human warriors to wield these weapons.
The first time gods armed mortals for war between gods. You changed everything with that innovation.
The times demanded it. You had taken crocodile and hippopotamus form, using the waters as your domain. Traditional combat was insufficient.
In addition to housing the winged disc, Edfu was where Horus had established a divine metal foundry, where unique weapons made of divine iron were forged. It was there that Horus had also trained an army of Mesenu, metal people. They were depicted on the walls of the Temple of Edfu as men with shaven heads, wearing a short tunic and a deep collar, carrying weapons in each hand. According to Egyptian traditions, the Mesenu were the first men ever to be armed with metal weapons, and the first men to have been enlisted by a god to fight in the wars between the gods. During this first battle, it was the Mesenu, under Horus's command, that beat off the crocodiles and hippopotami.
And so began our chase across Egypt, north from Edfu through the cataracts along the Great River. I'll grant you this, you were relentless.
651 of your followers were captured in the waters near the first great battle. You fled northward, toward the sea lands.
But I made you work for every victory. 4 days and 4 nights you searched for me in your flying disc before you found my hiding place.
And when I did find you, we met in single combat at the Lake of Battle.
The narratives describe confrontations that clearly involve advanced aerial combat. Horus and Seth engage each other with aerial vessels in the skies. The ancient texts tell us, Horus, the great avenger, took to the sky in his solar disk, and Seth pursued him fiercely in his own fiery vessel. These vessels were equipped with devastating weaponry, described as fiery breath, hailstones of metal, and thunderbolts hurled between the combatants. Are these energy weapons, projectile launchers, and perhaps even early forms of directed energy armaments capable of immense destruction? Both Horus and Seth engaged these battles with fierce determination, strategic thinking, and a willingness to unleash destructive power to achieve victory.
Your divine lance struck true, I'll admit. You captured me, bound me, brought me before Ra himself.
Where you were to be executed with the other conspirators, until
Isis showed mercy. My sister freed me, despite everything I had done to her husband.
Which so enraged me that I...
Go on, tell them. You were so furious at your mother's mercy that you cut off her head.
Thoth restored her. It was a moment of rage, not?
As we may have gathered, Thoth is an important figure in Egyptian culture and indeed in the spread of world culture, as we shall see in future episodes. Thoth is the scientist god of all the gods. He is son of the Sumerian god, Enki, who in Egyptian law is known as the god Pitta. Thoth's knowledge came from his father, who we recall was adept at engineering and biology. Thoth is typically shown with the mask of the ibis bird. The long beak symbolizes how the ibis searches deep within the earth for its food. Thoth's deep searches are for knowledge. The seeming magic of reanimating Osiris enough to conceive Horus, and in resurrecting Isis and the boy Horus, hints at advanced biological or medical capabilities beyond our current comprehension.
The point is, even you were not immune to the madness this conflict created. How many suffered because of our war?
After your escape, we fought in the air itself. You in your fiery vessel, me in the winged disc.
The Nar served me well, its eyes changing from blue to red, the flame streams from its rear. We were equally matched in aerial combat.
Until the final battle at the Lake of the Gods. There, I struck you down with the divine lance once more.
And there you would have killed me, had not the great gods called for a final truce.
What followed was unusual, even by divine standards.
Oh, tell them about the night we shared a tent, young hawk.
Seth attempted to establish dominance during the night.
Yes, they are speaking of a same-sex act. The details are well documented and included in these ancient texts. Here we omit the details.
You caught my seed between your hands. And then...
But I was prepared. Showed it to Isis, who advised me to pour my own seed onto the lettuce you would eat the next morning.
So when I claimed before the council that I had dominated you, you countered that your seed was in me.
Thoth confirmed the truth through his examination. Your claim was exposed as false.
But it was Geb's final judgment that truly settled matters. Not combat, not tricks, but law.
Grandfather Geb ruled that Egypt must remain whole, under one ruler. And since you could no longer produce an heir,
the kingdom passed to you. As Ra proclaimed, Horus is triumphant in the presence of the great gods. The sovereignty over the world has been given unto him.
And you, uncle? You were given dominion outside Egypt, in the eastern lands.
Thus ended the wars between us. But tell me, nephew, was the price worth it? How many died because we could not share power?
Perhaps that is the lesson here. The ancient texts record these events not just as history, but as warning. Even among gods, the lust for power brings suffering.
The mortals who followed us, the metal people who fought and died, the sacred order itself nearly shattered.
Yet from our conflict came innovations, new weapons, new tactics, new laws of succession, and ultimately, a united kingdom under divine authority.
So remember this tale, mortals. We fought for 80 years by some accounts. Dynasties fell, technologies emerged, laws were written in blood and fire.
The Council of the Gods chose order over chaos, unity over division, the rightful heir over the powerful usurper. These are the foundations upon which all kingdoms must stand.
Though I still say the succession laws could use some revision.
Some things never change, uncle, even among the gods.
This chapter of the Wars of Gods and Men provides a riveting account of the Horus-Seth conflict, framed by Zecharia Sitchin as a true war fought by technologically advanced beings. It challenges us to see myths not as fantasy, but as veiled historical records. By meticulously analyzing the ancient Egyptian texts, we are invited to consider that the incredible abilities attributed to the gods, their flight, their devastating weapons, their magic, were in fact manifestations of sophisticated technology. And the consciousness of these gods, their ambition, their vengeance, their complex political maneuvering, paints a picture of powerful beings, deeply involved in the affairs of humanity, whose conflicts shaped our world. The Contending of Horus and Seth stands as a testament to a hidden past, where divine rivalries forged the destiny of a civilization, leaving behind only echoes of their advanced technology and their very human-like struggles.
Okay, this one comes from Zecharia Sitchin's second Earth Chronicles publication, The Wars of Gods and Men. As our science progresses and our archaeological findings continue to poke gigantic holes in the standard story of us, Mr. Sitchin's work continues to give rise to a new awareness that is closer to truth. So far, we've followed a trail of culture and theogony that begins in Sumer and flows through Acadia, Assyria, Babylonia, and now into Egypt. In our next video, we'll begin to see that very same trail continues through stories of Greek gods like Zeus and Indian gods like Indra. The names of gods in holy texts change, but the stories are remarkably the same. Until next time, remember, love is the fundamental force of creation. Keep a smile in your heart and share it with everyone open to receiving it. Know who you are and roll in your power. The light in me honors the light in you. Stay safe out there. Thank you for watching. Namaste.